So, I've been revisiting the Arkham games lately. This game series left a big impact on me in early adult development, and at the time, I only had a small window into why that was. Since then, I have grown alongside my generation in a constant observation of the evolution of the character of Batman through many, many forms of media and entertainment. At this point, it's weird not to have an opinion about the Dark Knight, his iconic villains, and what they represent to us as thinking and feeling human beings. A great number of people have noticed that as people have followed the IP more religiously, the dogma of the Batman has become a larger point of debate. Obviously, this makes sense. As the religion of fandom grows, people are going to have more strict ideologies about the messiah figures in those religions. This has led people to make in-depth critiques of the choices in media to depict their favorite heroes in a particular light, and I'm not dogging on them, but... okay, I'm dogging on them a little. Batman. He's the most iconic superhero character in American culture. Out of all mainstream comic book characters, he has received the most attention and the most critical analysis. The question, obviously, that follows from this observation is, why? What makes Batman so special? Why do people care so much about the character compared to other godlike, larger-than-life superheroes? Well, when looking to the aforementioned Arkham games, this question becomes even bigger. A bigger question that my high school mind was subconsciously asking me when I played the first two games for the first time. If I was Batman, in Batman's world, what would I do? It struck me from a young age that the question of Batman is not a question of storytelling, but a question of value. Because the value question is so strong, however, it creates amazing stories, with characters that challenge the ethics of Batman himself. The philosophy of the superhero is a thought experiment exploring the concept of Nietzsche's Übermensch, written about in his work Thus Spoke Zarathustra in the late 1800s. It's basically an idea outlining humanity striving for a great purpose in a post-religious Western world. In a more secular society, we look up to the representations of this philosophy much more than divine powers outside of our grasp and outside of relatable critique. What sets Batman apart from most other superheroes? His humanity, and with that, his vulnerability. We can imprint on Batman way more than his Übermensch counterparts. We can ask interesting hypothetical questions about humanity as a monolith through characters like Superman. But we ask the hard questions about our role in society as it relates to other individuals through the eyes of Batman. That's why Batman is a more interesting character study as the hero of Gotham rather than part of the Justice League pantheon. On top of this, Batman is not only relatable in his humanity, but he is a product of American culture, and therefore is not just a physical Übermensch, but also a social elite in a capitalistic society. Why are you idealized, Batman?
I'm rich.
Batman is not just interesting due to his moral character. As much of a fanboy as most of us are of Kevin Conroy's portrayal of the character, as a virtuous do-gooder willing to police crime to inhumane levels of self-control, I see Batman as an idea of ethical power. A variety of us nerds have attributed values that Batman must adhere to, but at the end of the day, Batman is a power fantasy, a thought experiment putting the audience in a headspace of privilege. Our American Übermensch is the strongest and the richest. He holds so much influence that he operates outside the corrupt laws and systems that break society apart and leave it vulnerable to gangsters and psychotic anarchists. Batman is the Christ of capitalism, sacrificing his body for the sins of Gotham. But he is not a passive god. He comes with rage and anger and vengeance. He is fully godlike in his angelic wrath, but fully human in his trauma instigated by the very system he fights for. Our Übermensch is depressed and ignores that depression through obsessive toil. His ego too large to notice that the problem is the system itself, but insists on throwing resources at the problem in the form of violence, while wearing a face of elite philanthropy. Why are the Arkham games so engaging and interesting? Because we get to live the fantasy of uninterrupted power, fueled by massive wealth, fighting against the reactionary creations of a dystopian status quo society. If Batman's villains are symbols of evil perspectives in the system, then Batman is symbolic of the system's solutions to those twisted values. Ironic that his solutions in these games end up creating larger versions of the problem over and over again. One has to wonder why a man with so much power and the ego to take the law into his own hands doesn't just kill the problem. Batman was originally created with this concept in mind in the comics. It's basically a meme at this point that no matter how many times he tries to institutionalize his biggest villain, that villain escapes and causes way more harm to society than just killing the problem. Maybe Batman should kill, but why does that not sit well with us? Because if he did, then he is not part of the system. He is the system. That's the beauty of the character. We get to explore the hard questions about what it is to be the least ideal concept of the Ubermensch in the worst version of American society. The fucked up rich boy looking for retribution by fighting crime when the underlying issue for why crime exists perpetuates the problem. Batman is not a story about fighting the evil externally. Not at its core, anyway. It's a story about class, and most importantly, the evil desire within humanity to become elites who control society through force. In a way, Batman is a warning that appeals to our natural desire for power, and these brilliant games show why one human can't bear the weight of that responsibility. Nor should they. Thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below on my thoughts in the video, or the Arkham games in general. I'd really love to hear everyone's take on them. And, well, you know the routine. Thanks for coming to the Dutch Ritz party, and have a happy new year, everybody.